Hello and welcome to the shop. I wanted to do another quick installment of Around the Shop. I just did a video on making some yard Yahtzee dice, and I used two tools in that video, and every single time I use those tools I get questions from people, multiple questions. What was that tool? What is that? Where do you get it? So I thought I would take just a couple of minutes and show you the two particular tools that I use and tell you as much as I can about them, where I got them, what I paid for them, that type of thing, and how they're used, so that if they can benefit you, maybe you can pick them up for your shop. The first tool that I want to talk about is by far the one that I get the most questions on. It is an Ankara 12-inch precision T-rule. And one of the things I like about this is it's graduated off into 1/64 of an inch increments. What's nice about it is you'll notice the bottom has these little dots and the top has these little slots. Let me show you how I like to use those. Let's say I want to put a nail at 1 inch and I want to put another nail at 3 inches. I can simply mark my dots and I know exactly where to place my nail. I used to use this ruler, and the reason why I bought it was for chip carving. So in chip carving, I end up drawing a lot of borders around boards. I would come down to, say, 1 inch. I would put my 5.5 millimeter pencil in the 1 inch slot and simply drag the ruler, making a perfect mark at 1 inch. Then I would come back, and let's say I would go out to 1/2 of an inch or 1.5 inches. I'd do the same thing, draw my ruler, and I've got two perfect lines. I can then come back and separate these lines to form my little squares that I'll use to carve my pattern in my board. The only drawback to this tool, and it's a very small price to pay and you learn it quickly, is when you're drawing a straight line, you must keep your lead, and I'll just go out to 2 inches here, at the front of the slot. If you let the lead get in the back of the slot when you're drawing, the ruler will overtake the lead and pinch it to the board, and it becomes difficult to move. It will also break your lead because you're working with such a fine lead. So simply keep your lead to the front of the slot, and you can drag it right down the board and form a perfect line. When I purchased this tool, I got it at Woodcraft. I paid $39.99 for it, and I've had it for about 8, maybe 10 years. I love it because I can get super accurate measurements each and every time. If you have any questions about this tool, please leave them in the comments below and I'll be sure to answer them. The second tool I'd like to show you today, and it's surprising to me, but I do get a lot of questions on this one. I thought they were fairly common, but I guess they're not. This is just a marking tool. And when you take a board and you draw a spot on it where you want to drill and you want to make sure your bit seats perfectly on that location, you can take this tool, and it is spring loaded. You just put it in the position you want to mark, press down till it pops, and you can see that it makes a really nice dimple in the wood. And you can very easily find that with your drill bit to make sure you hit dead center of where you want to drill. This is not a necessary tool. You could use a punch awl. I used to use an old nail prior to buying this tool. I found this one day when I was just walking through Harbor Freight. I think I paid possibly $5 for it. I've had it for 10, 12 years. I actually really like it. It's nice, not so much on wood, but it's nice on metal. If you want to mark or put a dimple on a piece of metal, say some aluminum or some softer steel, to be able to drill, to be able to center your drill and drill through it, it works really well for that, and it's probably better suited for that. I use it for woodworking because I bought it, and I just like to be able, especially with a Forstner bit, I can find the center and drop that little tip of the center right into that slot, and I can get dead center with my Forstner bits each and every time. I really hope you found this video useful. When I was talking about the Ankara ruler, I mentioned that I bought it for chip carving. I don't have a lot of examples of my chip carving work because the primary reason I taught myself chip carving and the primary thing that I did with chip carving was I decorated all of the molding and trim in our previous house. That house has since been sold, and unfortunately all the trim went with it. I do, however, have a practice board where I was trying different rosettes, and my wife and I used this to kind of pick the one that we wanted for the house. But this is a quick example of some of the chip carving work that I did. I'd like to thank you for joining me in the shop. I want you to know that you are always welcome in my shop. Come back and see me again real soon.